Okay, I think we're ready. We got Marmu here, we got Sulomon here. Let's do it. Good luck, have fun. Okay, here we go. On the left, we have Marmu. And over to the right, Sulomon. These are some good-looking decks here. I actually really like Solomon's comp. I think that's pretty strong at the moment. Going for 3 tier 2 is a little bit greedy, but I think it's a good synergy between the 3 that he brings. The Wolf, of course, just a really fantastic unit in this meta. You know, really, Wolf buff tier 2s can, in a lot of cases, be stronger than tier 3 comps with stuff like Badgers and stuff. The board is really interesting, though. I do like Marmu. I feel like Marmu's deck here is a bit more of a fighter style, right? Like Solomon's got a solid mid game. His early to mid game might suffer just slightly from having only squirrels, but that depends on the build. Like I wouldn't hate to see him try to get out a quick skunk cam, to reinforce that. But Marmu to me seems a bit more laser focused on the mid game. He's got the Squizzard to be very aggressive to beat some of the tier 2 comps, and he can transition into that boar, and the boar is more of a unit you want to try to do a timing with than something that just scales into the late game and gets you a lot of value like Badger, Owl, or Wolf. The mines are also signal a little bit of aggression to me. They can be used defensively, sure, if he wants to maybe try to rush up a boar and is worried about an attack after he gets scouted. But ideally, Marmu wants to sneak these mines out on the map in like key positions where some fights are going to happen. But look at this, Sulomon just going to barbed wire on up the main. Only on one side, though. For some reason, when I first looked at this, I thought that wall went all the way through. I was like, is he going to go for like a one base wolf? So a little bit of investment in barbed wire, but it's not too bad. They are pretty cheap nowadays. And the tier 2 coming up. So what do you do if you're Marmu? You've seen a little bit of barbed wire, but that's not the biggest investment in the world. It's not like throwing down a balloon or something where it's going to really raise a bunch of alarms. He is still going to get in here and get a nice scout. He's going to go ahead and try to head up to that second base. I mean, maybe one thing you can take away from the barbed wire is perhaps Sulomon isn't interested in a very, very fast attack. But especially if Sulomon stays on one base. I mean, if he just keeps churning out squirrels here, waits until the 4 cams are up, that's a solid time to go in and try to strike, especially if Marmu's investing a lot into second base economy here. But no, Sulomon is actually going to grab his own gristmill. I'm still curious how many farms he's going to take, especially, alright, this is where I'm really interested in his decision making, because he scouts a whole bunch of farms here. That's really all he needs to see. So what does he do? Is he going to take a bunch of farms of his own, or is he just going to... Yeah, alright. I figured this is more a Sulomon style. Solomon's pretty good at knowing when he's got openings, and I think this is the right call. I think he's going to try to punish Marmu for being so gosh darn greedy there. Some mines coming out from Marmu. The tier 2 might not be what he needs. I don't think he's going to have time to get out those extra crams. It would be nice. Maybe if Sulomon doesn't move out immediately, but if I'm Sulomon, I'm moving out right now. 1 extra cam is already almost here, though. But you need to just try to rally everything up. This is a big, important fight. If Marmu holds this off, he's in a phenomenal position to win. But this is a huge moment for Sulomon to strike. And let's see how the defense is here. Oh my gosh, Marmu holding it off like a champ. Sulomon having to run away. And now this is going to be a very difficult position to come back from. Solomon's just so far in the lead with that second base. Attacking is rough, man. Nice try there by Sulomon. Marmu with the awesome defense with a good micro in that fight. Holds it on. I thought the trying to get the extra cams were too greedy, to be honest, but had just enough time to get them out. Okay, Marmu taking the same comp. Sulomon giving it some thoughts and actually gonna change it up quite a bit here. In the bottom, we've got Marmu, and up top, Sulomon. So it looks like Solomon's saying, alright, my attack didn't work. I'm gonna totally switch gears and try to go for a more defensive style here, macro up on a couple bases, and get out my big juicy tier 3 units. Meanwhile, Marmu's just got the same strategy, and I think it can work. You know, what Marmu was doing last game is a fairly nice progression style to play Tooth and Tail, right? Like, oh, you know, get up to 8 farms, get some tier 1 out, grab a tier 2, expand, grab another tier 2, keep building tier 1, build some farms. There's a nice little kind of advancing up to the Bronze Age from the Stone Age, you know? So I think Marmu will be just fine. I'd imagine if Sulomon wasn't attacking, Marmu probably would have taken a few more farms, built a boar, and pushed out to see what he could get done. And I think the boar could do pretty decent here. I'd rather see the badger, I think, out of Sulomon if we do get to tier 3. He'll probably end up going for both. But this is an interesting map for Sulomon to try to macro up on. Now, if he can properly secure this whole area, then actually, you know what? This could be a really cool game. Actually, I like this map a lot. Like, Marmu's a little bit on the clock, right? Like, he's basically relegated to 2 base here. He could try to sneak out this 9 o'clock, perhaps, as a third. But if he's really able to take this, then I think Solomon's in trouble. Because Sulomon should be able to fairly easily come up here and claim these bases. And this barbed wire, you know, this is a lot of spread out area. However, there's so many doodads and terrain and little bits of water here and there that you can really kind of effectively cover this area up without the biggest investment in the world. But once Marmu gets up to like Cam Boar, I don't think a little bit of barbed wire is going to stop him, is the thing. But Sulomon really wants Marmu to just play like he did last time. Maybe that's why he decided to make this adjustment. He kind of felt out what Marmu was going for in the first game. Was like, all right, you want to play a macro style. You know, you didn't do a build that was set to timing attack me or anything. Nice scouting here from Marmu. Sees everything. So I'm going to take a deck that is going to favor playing against that playstyle once I can get up to Falcon, Badger, Owl. So far, so good. I'm really curious how Marmu wants to play this out, because I think I know how Sulomon wants to do it, right? You know, but what's Marmu's move? Is he gonna try to throw down a boar and push through this? Is he just gonna go to the late game himself with a bunch of Cam Falcon? You know, if he does that, again, he probably can't get much further than, like, second base economy, which is why I probably, if I was in Marmu's shoes, I'd probably want to try to put together a boar hit. And there's the boar warren. Yeah, I think this is the move. And Pez did not quite see it there. So doesn't know about it just yet. Or Sulomon, jeez. But there's the badger. So kind of sensed it out. And this is about the right time to take a tier 3 anyways. And maybe the fact that he didn't see just full second base saturation kind of cued it to him. Marmu actually not able to get in there and scout the tier 3 Warren, but he probably doesn't care a whole lot. Because I think if you're Marmu here, you're just looking to push out once this board is ready. Oh, Sulomon again, not going to see that tier 3. Nicely hidden there. But I think Solomon's kind of prepared for it anyways. He's got a lot of falcons on the way. As if he suspects something like this. And the Badger's moving and grooving as well. Marmu gonna try to come in with some lizards, but Sulomon is not, or Solomon's in the right position to respond. Both players building up to a lot of falcons here. And again, the falcons do make sense because they are a good counter to most of the tier 3. And Sulomon probably assumes, hasn't scouted it for sure, but could probably make a educated guess. Tier 3's on the way. Oh, and Marmu moving out when Sulomon is not there. Sulomon probably recognized the army isn't home, though. Yeah, this barbed wire is going to alert him to the presence. So here's the big fight. Badger did barely make it. The Badger's on the back, coming on in. But the board trying to get up front and roast everything down as fast as possible. Marmu doesn't even really need to kill the Badger as much as he just needs to kill everything else. The Badger is the only thing left here. However, all these pigs are really putting into some work. And trying to punch into the Warrens. A lot of the reinforcements there managed to make it back in time. Solomon's able to hold. He took a lot of damage, though, and he's really looking for whatever he can get on this cleanup. The Falcon would certainly be nice. He will clean up these extra couple squirrels. Smart move by Marmu to just go ahead and sell off that Boar Warren. I mean, Sulomon took a lot of damage there, and the Warren almost went down. If that Warren went down, Sulomon would be in a lot more trouble. And Sulomon is going to come in for the counterattack here. And let's see if Marmu can actually hold this off. Pushing in here, trying to micro this Badger to keep it alive. It is going to run into the water, but that is going to slow the other units down. This Badger should be able to escape. That's actually really good for the Badger there. And Marmu holds. And keep in mind that Sulomon took so much economic damage. He's probably only got a couple more of these attempts before sheer numbers will start winning the war here for Marmu. Picking off that Badger would be nice, but again, Marmu doesn't even really have to. If he keeps knocking out all the supporting units, that could be enough to just bleed Sulomon dry slowly over time. This Badger is getting a little bit cornered, though. He can't slide through that little doodad there. It was in the way. It looks like a little satellite dish. That is rough. It did look like you could make it through there. Marmu's gonna take it. This is a best of 7, so Solomon's got a little bit more wiggle room here, but really needs to get a point on the board here. On the left, we've got Sulomon swapping back to that original deck, and over to the right, Marmu. This time around, going for the Wolf. The Wolf Cam Falcon is really strong. I actually really like Marmu's setup a lot. The Squizzard can do a good job against Skunks. You know, I feel like Skunks are probably the weakness, but the Squizzard can probably get you through that. And Cam Falcon is, you know, Cams are just great in the early to the mid game, and then they're going to scale really well later. Of course, you got the Falcons to also scale, and the Wolf just makes it that much more painful. And again, similar stuff here from Sulomon, but just being a little more greedy on his tier 2 slots, wanting to fit in that Skunk rather than going for the Lizards. And the mines, I feel like, are a bit more reliable. You know, the barbed wire is a little bit map dependent. You know, you want maps like we had last game. You know, with this much big open space, a couple of mines could still be awesome, but the barbed wire not so much on this time around. And again, we have pretty short rush distances here. And both players have access to a lot of economy. Marmu's up on the high ground, which is always nice. The Sulomon does have Falcons, which can help out with that flying vision. We see 8 farm doubles from both sides here. And gonna keep just railing out the tier 1 for now. Both players just scouting, seeing what's up, confirming what their opponents are up to. And it can be difficult when you keep seeing all this tier 1 to transition into the tier 2. Gonna see these mines go down. I don't think his squirrels will get there in time, but he can carefully sweep them and try to only lose a squirrel or two. But if he tries to start doing that, then Marmu would have the opportunity to come in and try to strike. Marmu gonna be the one to save up for that big juicy tier 2 here. Meanwhile, Sulomon grabbing a gristmill. Is Sulomon gonna get the scout on the tier 2? He's not. But he knows the money had to go somewhere. Sulomon does see the expo here. And we're going to get into some camps. Really respectful early game from both sides. Neither player doing anything very greedy. Neither player trying to pull a fast one. They're just playing very straightforward, very safe. And kind of got into a gentleman's agreement, you know. It wasn't really even that. It was just that both players were very well prepared for any kind of attack. I love this. I love only building 3 lizards to do this. Because even if you lose these lizards, it's not a big deal. You took out this pig. Ooh, one's even going to get away. And that's even a rough pig to rebuild. I actually wouldn't recommend doing that. You might as well just build on a fresh plot of land over here. Because a lot of the money's already been sucked up from that patch. But yeah, it was an interesting early game, because I don't think it was a gentleman's agreement. I think a gentleman's agreement's more where both of us are just being very greedy and neither one's punishing. Like, both Marmu and Sulomon progress out of that early game very safe, like throwing down 3 to 4 Warrens before going into tier 2. You know, taking a second base in an appropriate time, keeping the scouting up. You know, not trying to get too many farms ahead of their opponents. Sulomon did edge out some more chameleons, but surprisingly, even with chameleons, it is actually hard to attack into a well-defended position. You know, stuff like snakes and skunks and ferrets really do a better job at that. For all the strengths that chameleons have, I do think that is one of their weaknesses. As we saw in Game 1, where Sulomon tried to really dive into the fortified defense. I love these mines on the top. I don't think Sulomon saw those go down. This one piece of barbed wire is cool. It's actually more of a ward for the maps, is how he's using those to alert him if enemies are coming by. That's pretty smart. Try to get some value out of that deck slot this game. And this is so much tier 2 coming out of Sulomon. I guess Marmu's keeping pace, though. He's about to have 6 chameleons. Like, that is a crazy amount. This is about the phase in the game where somebody can throw down a tier 3, but that's also a little bit risky. Because if your opponent does scout out that tier 3, they can come in, you know, especially if they wait until, like, right after you've paid for the tier 3 unit too. You know, that way they're striking in where you've got 360 resources kind of wrapped up on something not helping you at the moment. And here's the tier 3 for Marmu. Now, this will put him in an amazing spot. It's a high risk, high reward kind of thing. And once armies get this big, it can be very difficult to get in there and scout effectively. But this is about the time, right? Like, it's tier 3 time. If you're gonna do it, now's the time to do it. Taking a third base here is Marmu. I've been watching too much StarCraft lately. Oh, gosh. It's very close to Marmu. It's only one letter off. And this is neat. Kind of building a few farms over there, perhaps. It looks like that's what he wants to do. He's waiting for that wolf to be bought and paid for. Maybe trying to not put all of his eggs in one basket. Maybe he's just worried about taking these 3 farms up front in general. Because they fall pretty quickly in a fight. Meanwhile, Sulomon's taking that extra base in the back, and I don't think Sulomon ever really considered the tier 3 here. Building a lot of falcons. I mean, the wolf buff on Cam Falcon is pretty damn good. I mean, maybe Sulomon will just have the raw numbers. He is finally going to come in and scout. But he's basically going to be here for the wolf's birth. Because there it is popping out. And he is going to want to attack in, ideally before the tier 3 is done, but it's already here. He's going to come in, he's going to hit these mines. And here comes a big engagement. Let's see if this wolf buff can really make up for the difference in tier 2. And it looks like it does. Marmu needs to be careful. Oh my gosh, 7 HP on the wolf. That is absolutely perfect. You do want that wolf to take some damage, ideally, for the tanking. And look at that. But I was getting worried that it was going to die. Nicely executed there by Marmu. I think Marmu does a good job in these standard straight-up games. Like, he really knows how to evolve his position. Like, I think what Marmu did there was just kind of very textbook, playing it safe, but progressing into tech and progressing into economy at a reasonable, threatening rate. Those mines really did a lot, too. Sulomon walking up on that ramp and taking a ton of damage. Now Sulomon's under some pressure here. He's down 3-0. Marmu looking to be in great shape. The old caster, I caster cursed Sulomon, man. I talked him up. He can do this. He can put some points on the board. You know, I think either player, of course, deserves the win. Both of them are playing phenomenally here, and these are some really close matches. But it's interesting because Marmu is just kind of playing this very standard macro approach, and it's paying off for him. And in the bottom, we've got Marmu, and up top, Sulomon, desperately needing to win a map here to stay in the tournament. And I really like Sulomon's adjustment here. I was going to kind of talk up... So I've played a good bit against Sulomon on the ladder, and I think what his strong point is he tends to have a good job of knowing when he can attack. Or a good sense of it, right? And that's something really hard to do. Like, attacking in Tooth and Tail, unless your opponent just does something really wrong or really greedy, it can be very difficult. Or if you just win, you know, if you steamroll an engagement, it can be really tough to find when you can actually attack in, because, you know, if you guys are pound for pound, your opponent's got that defender's advantage. So a lot of times it's difficult to really make that commitment. But I think that's one of Sulomon's strengths. He seems to be good at knowing where the windows are. All right, my opponent, you know, went for a tier 2 too early. I can build some Mole Warrens and push in. You know, my opponent tried to build up too many farms or go for the wolf. But it's a double-edged sword style of play. Because if you don't pull it off just right, it is then most likely you're going to lose after it. Where I think Marmu's approach is very solid. You know, Marmu's not really taking risks. He's just kind of building up. He's doing a good job scouting. But he seems to have a pretty well-defined plan. Like, I just want to get up to my 2 bases, get up to my juicy tier 2 units, get that tier 3 out, and make a push. Or really, we haven't even seen a whole lot of push-outs from Marmu. You know, in games 1 and 3 there, he kind of won off of deflecting an attack. This is a really cool sneaky expansion, by the way. I'm curious if Sulomon is going to sniff that out or not. Now, he has already scouted the map. I actually get worried for stuff like that if the opponent hasn't had the chance to get the lay of the land. Because it's like, oh, I got to figure out what's over there because I haven't seen it. You know what I mean? But Sulomon's already seen it, so he's got no real reason to want to go there. But look at this. This is a bag of builds kind of setup here. This is a very distinct attack. And Marmu did invest into that second base. He invested into tier 2. And again, snakes not as dramatic as ferrets in that regard, but snakes are not the tier 2 I'd like to have on, you know, having a skunk here would be better, even a cam. But the snake can make it work too. But Sulomon putting his whole tournament life on the line with this attack. Gonna move forward with the moles to trigger any mines. He's coming in. One snake is already on the board. These toads are gonna come in and explode. Take out a warren. A pig has fallen already. But it looks like Marmu's going to hold this. And Sulomon is going to back out now. He did deal some damage. I think he dealt enough damage to be okay here. And he's seen the snakes. He doesn't have lizards. But that wasn't crazy all in. I think Marmu held well. But Marmu did take some structural damage there. But the problem is this gristmill that he already paid for. You know, now Marmu can rebuild that farm elsewhere, like he does. And I wonder if Sulomon is going to think to himself, you know, maybe he's got an extra base because of that. Because why would you not rebuild that farm, right? Unless you had another base, or if you're really all in. Sulomon going to come in for round 2. And I'm not so sure if this is going to work. These toads need to do amazing here. The snake's already coming up to harass. Needs to be careful, though. This road is going to make the units from Sulomon able to chase those down quickly. But the snake does get out. This is it. Sulomon moving forward. The toads do get some nice hits. But is it going to be enough? He's got the mole warrens here to reinforce on the front lines. He's dealing some extra damage. A snake went down. Another pig went down. I think some warrens went down. And he's getting some okay damage in, but the problem is Marmu's winning the trades. And Marmu's feeling confident here, going to step up for the counterattack, and the snake might be too much. Oh my gosh. Alright, this last snake is all Sulomon has to deal with to stay alive for now. 5 minutes has come and gone. Both players' economy taking a dive. However, Marmu does have that second base. Nothing really built on it just yet outside of one farm. Sulomon needs a miracle here. I think he's got one more try. I don't think he's down and out yet, but these toads are just not getting the value he's looking for. He needs to catch this snake. He needs to find this base, something like that. You know, I think if Marmu went camps this game, maybe these toads, you know, trading so effectively against the chameleons. See, that's a start, you know, picking off a warren for free. But the problem is Sulomon probably thinks he's in a better spot than he is, right? Like, he's coming in and he's like, all right, man, you're basically starving at this point. Not knowing about this extra base is really hurting him. It's really cool to see the hidden base win a game, because I think right here it pretty clearly is. And this is it for Sulomon. He's got one last hurrah. If Marmu holds this, he advances to the finals in a 4-0 sweep. Alright, Sulomon deciding, you know what, I'm going to farm up. I'm not going to put it all on the line right here. But again, he must think he's got this cabin. And now he's probably put 2 and 2 together. Like, he's got to have a base somewhere else. And look how saturated this base is over here. So juicy. Sulomon finally scouts it. He's going to jump on it. Ooh, actually he doesn't. Maybe he thinks Marmu's units are over there and not home defending. No, he's just going to try to attack in. I don't think he realizes how long that base has been there. He thinks, alright, if he invested so much over there, he surely doesn't have enough. That base has been there for quite some time. Congratulations to Marmu here for the 4-0 sweep. Going to advance to the finals on Sunday. And that's going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned on the Pocket Watch Discord, guys, on the Tooth and Tail Championship 2020 Discord for information on the last weekend of the tournament. We're doing everything this weekend. Wrapping it all up. It's going to be a blast. I think it's all going to be on Sunday, starting at 10 a.m. EST.